This was supposed to be a one-part series, but it's now two parts. My camera quit. Just to reiterate here, this is a series of questions being sent to the Michigan Supreme Court. And this is part two. It's almost over. This is going to be a real short clip. I'm on page 7 of 7. That's where I got cut off. Page 7. I already know that any answer in reply, if any, will fall significantly short of any justifiable explanation from a body claiming to govern itself and its activities when all of these shenanigans are going on unchecked and unaddressed in Michigan courts. This state's judiciary is completely out of control and needs to be fixed immediately. This body has 15 days to answer these questions, either individually or collectively. Your answer, either individual or collective, must be signed by every Supreme Court justice, or it will be considered a failure to answer. Signature of the Supreme Court clerk will not be accepted and will also be viewed as a failure to answer. Sincerely, Theodore Visner, people of the state of Michigan, Michigan Justice League. Phone number 989-954-2814. Address 856 West Cody Etsy Road, ST Road, Pinconning, Michigan 48650. And that includes this, concludes this 7-page questionnaire to the Michigan Supreme Court. I'll just add a little narrative here because I don't know that it's very important that the people of the state of Michigan and the people throughout this country know what I'm trying to do here, in that our governments were established and ordained by the people. That means our governments are our creation. We are the creator of our governments. And it is our duty and responsibility to make sure that these governments are staying in line with the same principles they were founded with. Today, I'm seeing some really bizarre things, and it's through my own personal experience that I can share this with you, and I hope that you take time to look at it. Our governments were initially founded by our founding fathers primarily for the protection of our private and personal property. And today, over the last 6 years, or since 2010, I've personally had 3 houses taken away. The first one in East Grand Rapids by a lawyer, Edward Winkler. Just went down to the Register of Deeds and recorded a new deed with his client's name on it, completely and totally in fraud. This is a white collar crime. You know, I called the police. The police came and they said, well, they looked at this deed and said, well, sorry, sir, there's nothing we can do. Here's a deed. Your name's not on it. Well, yeah, it was recorded in fraud. And the second house was at 829 East Walton in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. My wife and I had bought the house from a sheriff department employee before she became a sheriff department employee. And she wasn't paying her underlying mortgage and was threatened with foreclosure, so she just took the house back. And she used the sheriff's department in Isabella County to do it. Now, there was no court involvement with that. It was just the theft of our home by the strength and support of the entire Isabella County Sheriff's Department, including John Tellis as the undersheriff and Leo Metashevsky as the alleged elected sheriff in Isabella County. And here recently, on September 17th, ironically Constitution Day, another home was stolen in Blanchard at 7287 West Fremont when alleged appointed Judge Eric James told my wife and I that we didn't have standing in court to defend ourselves as the frickin' named defendants in the action to evict. Folks, you can't even fathom what that's like, going to court as a named defendant. You're summoned to go to court. under threat of arrest. We were made to go to court so that the judge could tell us we didn't have standing to defend ourselves. You know, and this comes full circle with what's going on here with Michigan's militia, or the alleged militia here in Michigan. John Madden and his sidekick, I forget his name, Mike Toney or something like that, came out to my house and they wanted to look at the loan documents with this Blanchard house to find the constitutional violations. Okay, they wanted to see the loan documents to find the constitutional violations that would allow the militia to actually get involved and help me out with that situation when I didn't ask them to in the first place. So it's very important to recognize there are a lot of fake, silly elements out there pretending to be militia that actually have no clue of the Constitution and the laws of the state of Michigan. And they carry around M16s pretending that's all it takes. Well, it does take a lot more gray matter, John Madden, you idiot. You don't look for constitutional violations in the loan documents, okay? The deprivation of our due process rights and our right to proceedings and to proceed as a defendant were completely stripped by Isabella County alleged Judge Eric James. He's appointed. He's not even elected. So his appointment isn't even official. Our judges are supposed to be elected for this and other obvious reasons. So when you look at this from that perspective, you have to see that the violations against the people are not happening by the banks. They're not happening by CPS. In 2014, my girlfriend's 3 children were kidnapped by CPS in Isabella County, primarily Melody Lake and some other gal I don't even remember. Took my girlfriend's 3 children without a court order. And there was an emergency hearing held, and the petition to take her children was denied, and her children were never given back to her. You know, if we're going to have a militia that's completely clueless about the Constitution, you know, we might as well just throw in the towel, because these same idiots that pretend to be militia with regard to what happened to myself and my family and my girlfriend in the loss of 3 houses over the last 5.5 years is all about what's taking place in Michigan courts. Okay, banks don't deprive us of our rights. The courts that support the banks deprive us of our rights. Okay, the CPS does not have the power and authority to take Michigan children in Michigan without the courts. Okay, no child can be taken from any parent without an order of the court, whether it's an emergency ex parte order or some order after a hearing and a petition is submitted to the court to do just that. But you certainly don't petition the court for an order, watch that order be denied, and then never get your children back. And that's exactly what happened to my girlfriend, Danielle Austin. And since then, since this happened, and since she's discovered what's actually happened to her, the state has very actively and aggressively moved to alienate her from her 3 children. So there's some really crazy things going on here, and if you're participating in the militia, I really suggest you study the Constitution and know the difference between who can and who can't violate constitutional rights here in the state. Because if we're looking for, you know, Subway sandwiches to violate our rights without recognizing that the violation of our rights comes from government itself, then we're never going to solve any problems. So anyways, I'm going to cut this short here now, and as always, if you have any questions, give me a call. And if you live in Michigan, you have any particular issues with either Child Protective Services or the fraud closure company, MERS, Mortgage Electronic Registration Systems Incorporated, or the lawyers and courts that are making these foreclosures happen with MERS having no standing as a shell company of the world's major banks, then give me a call. My number is 989-954-2814. It's time now for the people of the state of Michigan that have been injured by our courts to stand up and say enough's enough. And hopefully you like the letter I wrote, and I will be publishing the non-reply when I don't get it, and we'll go from there. Thanks, and we'll talk to you soon. God bless.